Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. What's going down, bro?
Yeah, I'm good. In a slight transition, aren't we? Which is fun. I'm looking forward.
Transition in what way?
Well, we're just naturally having meetings as the year ends and, identifying things. And yeah, it'll be a different way of operating, which will be cool. So, I'm enjoying them.
Good. Well, I'm doing well also, Tim. Thanks for asking.
I don't care.
I know you don't.
I have a question for you. We always talk about you before we start. All you do is all day send voxes about yourself, and
well, that's all anybody cares about.
You got told you're a king. Take care of everybody else. So,
out of context, that sounds so horrible.
Well, it's true.
I was told I was a king.
So I have a question for you, Doug.
Shaman. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
So before I ask the question, in fact, I am going to open it up with this. So guys, you guys listening, right? Maybe some of you guys for this holiday season or whenever you're going to listen to this, you're going to be taking a trip. Maybe see some relatives. And you might be driving because, for whatever reason, you want to avoid the airports right now. And maybe that trip's going to be quite a long trip. Maybe it's a trip that you've not been on before. Okay, so, what are you going to do? If you're like most people, the chances are you're going to use sat-nav, right, in order to get you to your location. Now, you'll get in your car, you'll pack the car up, you'll get all prepared for the journey. Set up your sat-nav, put in the location, and then, what does the sat-nav do? The sat-nav then calculates where's your starting point, right? Where are you starting from? Where are you today? And it can then give you the pathway to get there, right? And then as you drive in there, you're on the route, you're going to be checking how it's going, right? You're going to be looking at the sat-nav. Okay, how long do I have left? You've done all those long drives to Alaska, Doug. So you're looking at the sat-nav, driving for 20 hours a day. How long left? You may even search along the route, right? Petrol station or fuel station. You may pull off. You may be checking your speed limit as well as you go to just make sure you're in line. So the question I have for you guys is, if we're in agreement that that's pretty much the way in which we take journeys for the most part, how well do you do at applying that philosophy to any area of life that you're looking to grow? Let's say 2020, right? Because obviously, as this is going to be released, it's going to be the end of 2020. How often throughout the course of 2020, when you set out at the beginning of 2020 and you plotted your destination for the end, how did you, along that journey, receive optics or checkpoints on how well you're doing and where you are and whether you're on track or off track or whether you need to take a different route or whether there's traffic on the route? How often did you check it? Because the reality is, most guys that I speak to anyway, they don't have a way of understanding where they are. Be it in the business, they may do in the business to a degree. In the relationship, they don't really know where they are. They just know there's problems. They just know there's either arguments or there's not. There's a bit of sex or there isn't. They don't really know where they are. In their health, my jeans are feeling a little bit tighter. I'm not really working out as much. I feel a little bit of a roll here when I bend over. I didn't feel that before, but they don't really know where they are, right? So anyway, point I'm making, the question I have for you, Doug, is how do you find out where you are? And what advice would you give to somebody who is maybe resonating with this and struggling to understand where they are? And maybe 2020, they set off on this amazing journey where the destination was really exciting, But if they take stock today, they've not actually arrived there. Instead, they got 100 miles down the road and maybe changed the destination, or maybe, the car broke down, and they've stalled ever since. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. So what I do is part of my morning routine. I like to do is journaling, but also I have a weekly routine. So every week I take time to reflect on the previous week, not that much, but a little bit. And then also, what I like doing is, me, is planning out the next week of where I'm going. And in that portion, I'm able to, upon reflection and planning, see where I am in my areas, right? So myself, what am I doing for myself? Health, wealth, relationships, and business. I'm able to look at all those 5 key areas and see where I am. And am I moving the needle? And I'm also reviewing my quarterly goals, and I'm looking at my yearly goal, and am I on track, right, for my 5-year goal? Now, if I'm hitting my yearly goal, then odds are my 5-year goal is on track as well, but I'm making sure it still resonates with me. So along those lines, like you call it sat nav, we'll call it just navigation, right? Google Maps or whatever that we're using. We're having the same thing. You can reroute if there's a traffic accident or something. They'll give you suggestions. I do the same thing, Tim, when I'm checking, but I'm also seeing where I'm at, right? Kind of giving myself a rating system. Now, this is not as, it's not like getting on a scale where it's black and white, where I'm 200 pounds or I'm 199 pounds or whatever it is weight wise. But I get a very good sense of, am I on the right direction of where I want to go? Right. And sometimes I might notice that, date night didn't happen this week. How's my relationship? And I'll check in with my wife, ask her what her love tank is. That's a question I commonly ask. And I'll also ask myself, where's my love tank? Right. And am I empty? Am I full? Am I halfway full? And what gets to happen? And that helps me course correct, like driving to Alaska, helps me course correct whenever I need to, and see what's going on, and also check in with myself. You and I were talking, and I got my Oura ring says my readiness score is 90, but I feel like a 60 today, maybe, right? I'm just tired today. And so I get to check in with myself and decide, when I look at my calendar, my objectives, is that really what I want for myself? And that's so I'm constantly reviewing and checking and making sure I'm on the right path. And I'm not perfect about it by any means. Sometimes I miss my weekly review, but most of the time I hit it. And I'm able to constantly see where I'm at in my relationships, or where I'm at towards my goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. And, the guys that come to us, right, I think something that gives them such big shifts in the beginning is, the Alpha Rise and Shine that we get them to do.
Yeah.
Which by default has them doing some of this review, and also the weekly review. Super important.
Absolutely.
And when the guys, because the guys can have a habit, right? It's like anything. They take off quickly. They get great results in the first 3 months. They start to plateau a little bit. Some of them start to go down a little bit before they go back up. And often the thing that happens in that period where they go down is they've stopped doing the routines.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all the time.
Always. They've stopped reviewing the week. They've stopped journaling. They've stopped doing the things that got them into that position in the first place. And the reason for that, in my opinion, is they get bored of doing them. In the beginning, it's exciting, right? It's new. It's a shiny thing. And then as they go by, it can become a bit mundane, right? Because they've got used to this, what previously was new, that this new result they're experiencing now becomes the norm. And it's time to then you can go again and up level again, right? But within that process, even though the tools may change in order to get you to that second peak, if you will, there are some things that remain the same. There are some things that are going to be stable throughout.
Yep.
And that for sure is your routines.
Yeah. So we have a system within the Powerful Man we call the coil. And the coil gives you daily optics and daily reflection, as well as weekly reflection. And then you can go as far as quarterly, right? As we come out there. And so the coil gives you all those optics that you're talking about. It runs right into it. So when I use the coil, I know exactly if I'm on track or not. And there's no BSing around it, which is so nice. It's Are you doing it or are you not? Hey, Doug, it's talking to myself, right? Hey, Doug, you said you were going to work out 4 days a week. Did you work out 4 days a week or did you not work out 4 days a week? Or whatever it may be. And it's very black and white within that grading system. And so now you have a score. So you could come to me and we do this with our accountability amongst our team, but what's your score? What's your coil score? We do this to the guys in the brotherhood. Are you winning or are you losing? So this is just like watching a football match or a football game or whatever, right? How do you know at the end of the match who won? The scoreboard. So how do you know at the end if you're winning your game, right? The game of life, the game of relationships, the game of your health, the game of your wealth, the game of, your business, the game of yourself, right? You have a score. And so that scoring system, Tim, that's provided within the coil, as well as, the alpha rise and shine is a component of that. The alpha decompression is a component of that. Those things all tie in together as your sat nav would do. And it gets you in the right direction of where you're trying to go.
And for those guys listening, the COIL stands for the Chart of Intentional Living, just in case you're curious. And yeah, I mean, because the reality is it's not enough to use the rating system in your relationship of, am I having sex or not? Are we arguing or not? Because that leaves so much space for missed opportunity, right? Because the guys that come to us, what I love about them is they're such great guys. And honestly, when the guys really open up, they say, Tim, do you know what? I want to have more sex. Great. But what I really want is to feel admired again. Yeah. I want my wife to just text me the day before a big meeting and say, or wish me luck. I want to walk in through the door and have her be excited to see me. I want to snuggle up with her on the sofa in an evening and feel like a team again. So using the rating system of sex, that doesn't mean you got to be having, all those things could be happening. And you might be having sex once a week, but the sex could be great once a week. It could be connected, it could be passionate, it could be spontaneous, it could be explosive, right? But if you were to use a scoring system of, hey, we're having sex once a week, it doesn't give a true reflection. So it's really important if you want to really progress and become the man that you're capable of being, quite frankly. You've got to have, in my opinion, in our opinion, you've got to have a way of gauging where you are at that's going to give you a very black and white picture that removes emotion and also removes ambiguity from it as well. Honestly, not all guys can take that level of accountability. Sometimes it's hard, right? Doing your weekly review, Doug, I've had weeks when my list of wins is about 5 on there. And my list of lessons is a page of A4. My list of improvements is a page of A4. Then that week's sucked. I've been inconsistent. I've been reactive to Amelia. I have, there's a whole host of things that would have gone on, right? And it's a difficult pill to swallow. In theory, it'd be easier in that moment to bury my head in the sand. But, if I was to do that week after week, there'd be a much bigger problem that I'm dealing with. But I think this is, again, why a lot of the guys come to us and they're blindsided, right? When the wife asks for a divorce or, the health suddenly takes a wrong turn. It's not suddenly happened. These things have been bubbling for a considerable amount of time. You've just missed it. And the reason why you've missed it is because you've not taken stock of where you are. Yeah. And it's key.
It really is. And, so to use your analogy of driving, right, guys, you need to figure out where you are now. So coming into 2021, how was your 2020? We did this in a very deep way with the guys in the Brotherhood and Inner Circle, which are our advanced 1-year masterminds that we run for graduates who've already graduated the activation method. But you got to know where you are and you got to be honest with yourself where you are, right? If you're overweight, just be honest. You're overweight. The dad bod is not as sexy as you think it is, right? Just be honest with yourself and don't judge yourself. It's just being honest, right? So you alluded, I drove from Santa Barbara, California, all the way to Alaska, Valdez, Alaska. And if all of a sudden I'm in the middle of the US, I'm in Kansas, I just could be honest with myself and then course correct to get back to Alaska, which is going west, but by a dramatic way. And that's where a lot of us guys are, right? Maybe it's our relationships. We're like, shit, it's just not working out. Well, let's be honest with where we are. Then where do we want to go? And then we can make a plan on how to get there. And I think that's one of the strengths of the powerful man, the brotherhood, and the coaches is we're really good at making plans. Well, first of all, we're very good at getting clear on where we are and where the guys are, and then making a plan to get them where they want to go. And then
Mm.
it's up to the guys to check in on themselves to make sure they're doing it. And we have accountability coaches and programs that are in there to ensure it happens. But at the end of the day, guys, it's up to you and me to do the work to get us there, right? You can't just have, it's not like you have a Sherpa that's carrying you. Although, in some ways, I guess the coaches Tim, are kind of like Sherpas, always guiding you along the way. But you gotta walk one step after the other. No one's carrying you up Everest.
Yeah, it's kind of like that whole analogy or that saying of what is it? Oh, profit is sanity. What's the other one? What's the other version? What's the other side of that saying? It's just eluded me as I went to say it. Revenue is something, profit is sanity.
Turnover is vanity.
Yes, that's it. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. It's kind of like that, right? You bury your head in the numbers, you just look at turnover and think, oh yeah, I'm doing great, right? But really, you're not getting a true reflection of where you're at. If your margins are down, your profit's zero, then typically your take home's not going to be very good for the most part. Then you wonder why, hang on a minute, why am I struggling here? Why am I not living the life that quote unquote I should be living or could be living? Because again, you don't have real optics of where you are. And for some of you guys, the coil is a great system, a great way of doing this. And, one thing that came out of the Alpha reboot, obviously the summit we'll have the men through, a lot of the guys went away from that and actually developed deeper optics within the business and within other areas of life, because they realized, hang on a minute, I want to drill down a little bit deeper here to get an even more real picture of where I'm at. Because the more honest you can be with yourself and the deeper you can dig, the more leverage you're going to get to be able to then, take that shortcut that maybe the sat nav isn't quite showing you. Then when you use a better sat nav or you upgrade the map, for example, right, I can go that way. Yeah, you can. But you've got to be the one that's willing to be honest and take stock of that and not take it personally. It just is where you're at. It's okay. It's going to be more painful for you denying where you're at and pretending to be someone or somewhere that you're not. Because the chances are, guys, everybody else around you sees through that as well. So many guys come to us feeling like a fraud, right? One guy yesterday, Tim, everyone looks at me like I've got it all together. I've got the wife, I've got the businesses, I live the lifestyle. I've just been featured in this magazine. I'm looked at like the man, but really behind closed doors, they don't really know what goes on. And he was just waiting for the rug to be pulled from beneath him. And part of that is because he's not owning where he is at. And instead, he's trying to keep up this facade, being someone and somewhere that he's not, which just stacks shame and makes it difficult to do. Whereas he could just make it so much easier on himself. So much easier on himself. I mean, good thing for him, he joined the program. I'm looking forward to working with him. He'll be a great guy. You just get that hunch about somebody that's going to So Doug, advice, 3 things these guys can do right now if they're in this place and it's resonating with them. What could they do?
Guys, take some time, right? Soon as this is over, where are you in the 5 territories? Self, health, wealth, relationships, and business. And just be honest, be raw. If you don't have a lot of friends lying around, like really good friends, your relationships are struggling. We're struggling with your wife, right? Or business. Maybe as Tim was saying, right? That old saying, at the end of the day, cash is king. Or that saying continues on with some people as cash is reality, right? So where are you? What's your take home? And is it where you want it to be? Is it where you need to be? So be honest with yourself so you can have a starting place. That's point 1. Second step is know where you want to go. Equally as hard as a lot of guys, we just don't know where we want to go, what we need to do, where we want to be. So figure out where it is you want to go. And the third thing is back into a system that works for you. Maybe it's the chart of intentional living, the coil that we teach. Maybe it's something else, but back into a system that's proven to work and that you can use and use it regularly. Guys, you're meant for greatness, guys. You are meant for greatness. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. And it's time for you to step into it. If you need coaching, get coaching, right? But do something now and take radical action. That's the key.
Love that. Good advice.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, that's a wrap for us here at the Powerful Man Show. If you wouldn't mind, I do have a favor to ask of you, besides taking action, is leave us a review. We love to get a review, and this is how other men just like you find the show. I know everybody asks you to leave a review. It's on all the podcasts. Everybody does it. And I was one of those guys that would hear it and say, I'm going to leave a review and just not do it until later. And I've left quite a few for podcasts I really respected. So if that's you and you feel like, yeah, I'm getting something out of this, I would greatly appreciate if you took just a moment, 30 seconds to a minute, and just left a really brief review so other men like you can find this. All right, gentlemen, that's good. What's that?
As long as it's a good review.
An honest review.
Kidding.
It's honest review.
Just teasing.
If you want to make fun of SatNav and A4 sheets of paper, you can do that too. But that's all good. All right, gentlemen, we like to have fun. I hope you do too. And in either way, do something fun for yourself and make it a great week. And we'll see you next time on The Powerful Man Show.